It was just one game, but the coach having to reprimand a star player not even watching the game is a bad sign. And so is a players-only meeting telling the coach to get out. Oh, and did I mention it's just one game of 82? The Chicago Bulls might be the most miserable team in the NBA. Why? Because they made the one mistake you cannot make and are now paying for it. I predicted the Bulls would miss the playoffs this season. If you told that to people 2 years ago, they'd bite your head off. The Bulls went all in, trading good players and draft picks for Nikola Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, signing Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. The experts hated them. The Athletic said, this move came across as a classic win the press conference trade. You wonder if the owner took the front office's keys and tried driving himself for a while? Bleacher Report had an article called Which Offseason Moves Will Look the Worst in 3 Years, with a picture of DeMar DeRozan at the top. But what happened? The Bulls were great. They started 2022 in first place all the way to mid-January. DeMar DeRozan hitting insane game winners every other night. Bulls fans were taking a victory lap on social media. These guys are clowns. We'll show them what's up this season. Start planning the parade because we gonna champs. To me, the Bulls situation looks a lot like the Raptors after the Kawhi trade. They just need a Gasol-type rental to put them over the top. Oh, really? Well, Lonzo Ball got hurt and they stumbled to a nasty first-round exit. How could losing one player derail this dynasty? Oh, it's actually much worse than that. The Bulls went through 18 terrible years with their old front office. They had one deep run in 2011 with Derrick Rose, but their last big move was trading Jimmy Butler in 2017 for Lauri Markkanen and Zach LaVine. That gave them the worst record in the league from that trade to 2019. So Bulls fans snapped. They bought billboards demanding to fire the front office. They stopped buying tickets. Chicago went from number 1 in attendance in 2017 to 11th in the NBA, but that was paid attendance. Fans showed what the arena actually looked like most nights, a lot of empty seats. So the owners finally hired new leadership. They got Nuggets assistant GM Arturas Karnisovas and GM Mark Eversley. So everyone was excited to see what the new plan looked like. The first big move, the 2020 draft. The front office inherited the number 4 pick for Patrick Williams. A weird selection at the time, looks even worse now. P. Will showed promise as a rookie, but has not taken the next step. The Bulls passed on Tyrese Halliburton, who is considered one of the best players in the draft. Yes, a lot of other teams passed on him, but it's still true that P. Will is stuck on 8 points a game and Tyrese is already an all-star. So that season with the Bulls losing games, they went all in. Chicago made a huge trade for all-star center Nikola Vucevic. They dealt Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, and 2 first-round picks. A shocking price, but they were just getting started. That offseason, they traded another first for DeMar DeRozan, spent cap space on Lonzo and Alex Caruso. So what is the result? All you have to do is look at the Bulls' first game this season. They got blown out by the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is a team that did a rebuild right. OKC traded aging stars for picks and young talent. They sent Russell Westbrook to Houston for control of 4 first-round picks and CP3. They got control of 7 firsts and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Paul George. Then they hit on those draft picks, so OKC has a deep squad of young, improving players who can do almost everything. Their future is maybe the brightest in the NBA. The Bulls just missed the playoffs with 3 All-Stars. If they did things right, Chicago could have Franz Wagner and Wendell Carter growing organically. But I can't blame Bulls fans. Imagine how miserable they were for 18 years with that old front office. Anyone who came in and said, I'm gonna make the Bulls competitive, they were so excited about. But the reality is this front office is just as bad as the last one, making dumb, short-sighted moves that only delay being an actual contender. And don't say they were an actual contender before Lonzo got hurt. They didn't have the star power to compete with Boston or Milwaukee, even the Sixers. So what do they do now? The front office has resisted a rebuild because that would be admitting failure. But pretty soon, they'll have no choice. DeMar is a free agent at the end of the year, and Shams says they are far apart on a new contract. Brian Windhorst says one guy to keep an eye on for everybody, the whole league this year, is DeMar DeRozan. If he doesn't extend with the Bulls, I think he becomes a trade target as the season goes along. And if DeMar is traded for a rebuild, that also means Zach LaVine. He just signed a 5-year, $215 million deal, but teams would line up to get him. So when they finally rebuild, what does it look like? I think the top players on the trade block will be Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and Alex Caruso. The thinking is to ship out the aging core and build through the draft. LaVine is in his prime, but he ain't gonna be part of a rebuild. Alex Caruso is sneaky old at 29 already. And if they do this now, it almost ensures they keep their own 2025 pick. It's protected 1 through 10 going to the Spurs in the DeRozan deal. So the Lakers get DeMar DeRozan for D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Max Christie, and a 2029 first. Think of this actually as just DeMar for Christie in the first. D'Lo and Rui just make the salary work. The Lakers only do this if DeMar is willing to re-sign there. That first is really valuable, but LA is backed into a corner. Darvin Ham says LeBron's only gonna play about 30 minutes a night. Without him, their offense is trash. They need someone else to score points, so it doesn't matter that DeMar's defense sucks. This is actually a great trade to win them multiple playoff games. Chicago maximizes DeMar's value before the summer. Next is Vooch. We have to look for a team that needs his scoring inside, but can pair him with a good defensive big man. Like, I don't know, the Lakers with Anthony Davis, but we just sent DeMar there. So instead, the Cavaliers get Vooch for Jared Allen straight up. Allen is 7 years younger and an all-star, but the Cavs are in trouble. They just traded a ton of assets for Donovan Mitchell, but Bill Simmons says it's an open secret he can demand a trade. The only way to prevent that is to win. So Cleveland pairs Vooch with Evan Mobley, who is one of the best defensive big men in basketball. This is a win-now move for a young Cavs, but their window is open. But the biggest trade is LaVine. The Bulls must get this right or the whole rebuild is shot. The reported teams with interest are the Knicks, Heat, Lakers, and Mavericks. So Miami finally counters the Celtics and Bucks offseason with Zach LaVine for Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and control of 4 firsts. Now, the only way this happens is if Miami changes conditions on a pick to OKC. If they do that, it opens up all these picks to trade, which I think they need to get LaVine. And speaking of wild trades, the Knicks leaked Joel Embiid is their #1 target. I know this just kills Sixer fans, but I had to look at how it would go down.